Okay, I just want to show that what I excavated here. I moved like all this stuff. It's just good, bulky. It's stacked kind of tight, so you can see there's quite a good amount of some material over here. And right in the center, when I got to the center, there was like a cross, 2 pieces of wood set up like a cross. But like as everything else, as I was disassembling it, it seemed very quite deliberate. You know, people go, no, it's just a stack of stuff. No, it seemed every piece was like deliberate, essentially, really. But there was 2 equal pieces, these 2, and they were placed like that. As I was prying them up, they were just like that. And I go, yeah, that's a little bit of a cross hatch, because right underneath there was a pile of material. So it's underneath the crossing, and under the material we had these flat boards, and under this flat board I pulled it up. There was a little possum sitting right there. He just took off. But there really was no visible entranceway in here. Like, look, see, and there's also this root. See this root? Look at this, like, tightly right here. And I kind of had a sense that this root was connected in a spiritual sense to the entity that was here, which is interesting. But you can see, like, it could dig its way out. Look, this is all packed in debris. See, this is not a hole. There's no passageway here. This is no passageway. So here, underneath here, maybe something. I haven't pulled that up yet, but really, that's very possible. As you can get out through here, and this is the entranceway in and out of his little pocket. I can't recall what was here particularly, but even so, like, I don't know exactly what I pried out of here, but even so, like, that's not easy to mish through. And the little critter, he can get it done. Yeah, perhaps. The thing, I didn't even recognize this guy. I kind of recognized them. This one I didn't. And this was like pristine. He was completely clean. Like, I don't know how clean their fur is. Look, there's not even any, there was no smell. You'd think he'd be sitting there, you'd smell a little bit, right? There's like no smell. And there's no fur. Do you see any fur in here? No shedding. He's just hanging in here without shedding. I think that's all very peculiar. And I'm not a, marsupial, specialist, but I think this is odd. Just even to look like, he got in here, he was just hanging out under here in his little hibernation burrow for the winter. But I still, that all aside, we have all those knots twisted and enmeshed, and we had all these little flat, even like probably I was pulling out some flat pieces somewhere over here, and I can't really recall where they were, but those were like so flatly positioned. And like I said, right underneath there was material. I pulled that material out. I did not see any tunnels, at all. I did see not any trailing marking of any kind of tunnel, and everything seemed pretty sealed off. And I'm like, but people like are very easily dismissive of this, but they don't understand. Material manipulators, data manipulators. That's really what it is. It's data. People have like their spiritual beliefs and this and that, and all kinds of aliens and boogie boos. But to have a baseline positioning of, like, if you have an AI. So I want to talk about like Omicron, Scorpio, Vector Sigma. These are kind of interesting concepts. So back in the day, I came up with the Vector Sigma, and I knew that was from the Transformers, but to me it was like, well, this is how you're going to make baseline artificial intelligence. Okay, you're going to start with the tertiary Vector Sigma. It's like, you try to coordinate, make analytical comparisons between 3 points, even on a plane. So 3 points on a plane. And if you look at development of AI science, they have come up with the same thing, and it was a pretty simple concept. So other people have come up, and there's quite a lot to be studied in that. But then they can make like artificial life simulations, okay? And or basic machine lesson, and they can evolve, and And so this is like where I had come up with vector sigma, where that's the thing. And I was working on different, and they used to have open source, but at this point, this is like 2006, they didn't have, the open source was gone from the internet. I couldn't get it because they Google and Yahoo kind of took over the internet, and that's when they really started ramping things up, and there was no more open source that I was able to find, easily. So I couldn't, and I said, oh wow, this is, to do this like tensor logic, or what they have some software by scratch, is like, whoa, that's too lofty of a hobby. But I did develop like data compilations and a query approach, and I had like a morality clause, and these are just kind of like just basic concepts. But if we look at like that's all doable, and it's been done. It's not like this is like the first time this is. It is kind of like what we have seen, that we have developed, AI, and we have nanotech, and having nanotech AI, and this all becomes all one and the same. It's interesting because Q was a kind of concept that I had for like, that's the master query, and like vitamins and data compilation, and vitamins in making kind of like a biochemical database would be like the most condensed. We're going to use cloud computing to like compile a big database, but you need to have like a core component to have like a mapping of what's key and what's most valuable and what's most useful. But anyway, that's interesting. It was cute. And I mentioned that because there's more to that story, and because that was quite a little bit ago. It was 2006. Then on a date, I can talk about this, encounter and experience, and that's when on the internet this new phenomena came upon the scene, and it's coincidence. But see, the thing is, like, this is. It's a cabal of people. It's a people living in the elect, society. They're in the limelight. They got the good life, and it's like, I don't have an earned place, and they have a hereditary Soviet place. Their families and friends, and they can. What they do with their resources, well, they extract them from the masses to the without any kind of moral imperative other than self progress, and the elite high station is what they're defending. So, and this became a very pronounced let's see what's under here. Well, my point is that this is not just a isolated strange phenomena. Like, even this little piece of wood is very light. It's just, very movable for these guys to position. But if this guy can burrow through this stuff, there's more under there. It's so Lovecraftian. Like this side over here, it looks like the burrow goes that way, but he had nowhere to go. I don't even want to put my hand in there, but again, like I said, the other exterior phenomena is there was a shadow dude standing on this. Well, did I see things? Was it just light tricks? Yeah, it's not the only shadow dude. I saw the little gnome over there. I had the two dancing Talmudists. What do you call them? The Talmudists. I think these are like reptilian drakes. We have a lot of anomalies. We have all this kind of. It becomes their multifaceted big picture. They don't give a shit about me. They don't care. What hell I go through. It's not a fucking concern for them. They're just part of that order of power. And that's it. That's where we live in. all the other things is like, you know, some people suffer and some people don't. And the power structure don't give a shit as long as he just gets his strength. So I messed up this little guy's burrow in the middle of winter. I gotta leave him something. I don't know what's going on though with this guy. How he tunnels in here, bro, that's nuts. Well, this pocket just keeps going and going. But I'm gonna tell you that, see, look at all these little strands. And here we go, look. These little things are knotted. So, do you understand? So this becomes, that's the last thing to look at. Look at this. Look at this. And this is all recent too. Do you see this is like, not all, I mean, it's not all at the same time, but look, it's all knots in here. This is, see, now we know for a fact that that little possum is the one tying these little knots. I'm gonna tell you, that's a fact. That's a fact. So that little possum is over here, was over here, and said, now this thing could be the spirit of my deceased mother. Okay, and this is in the interface, in my life experience interface. And so we're looking at this very, very clear strain. This is a lot of stuff in here, and yeah. So I think that would be a pretty fair, you know, like what was my mother besides part of the matrix? And everybody's just. I saw some 2 characters yesterday, a couple other strange phenomena in my data point. The town was like pretty empty. Wasn't a lot of people out. I don't know what's on a Monday. Usually it's more people. There's like I haven't seen it this dead in years. I don't go out in the downtown too often, but even, you know, I used to come back all the time. So I saw the Mondays, and when that was a different time. But it was a couple years ago. But it was always hopping on a Monday. So at this point, it's not. And I've been through there on a few Mondays, and I never noticed any. I noticed that, hey, it's actually bustling. So the Mondays are still bustling downtown. But yesterday was completely desolate. And I saw a lot of straggler wanderers with bad attitudes just kind of barking around at people. And a scent is wafting up, too. A scent is wafting up. But the bad attitude, that I think it's the spirit of my departed mother, because she was not really a believer, and she had passed away in a I can go into that, but she did, you know, tell me she was a believer at the end, and she apologized for not being more sensible with, you know, with me as a person, because she was always pulling tricks on me. She was always doing tricks, hiding my things, making sure I'm not getting any work, and like, you know, making sure I'm late for every work. I was living with her for a little bit, and she was, you know, keeping me in a horrible way, and that was kind of like, you know. But this is the rest of my family was doing that too. So, but see here, look, this is definitely, look, these little knots is being tied by, you know. But you put it this way. This is a little plastic bag. Someone might have tied this plastic bag like in a knot, and this little guy pulled it in here. This is like, no. Do you see how many knots there are? Do you see how many knots there are? And here's the thing with my mother. In her apartment, like, she had, like, she would always, like, whatever I had that was important to me or whatever I was working on, she would always, like, kind of ruin it, destroy it, throw it away, get rid of it. But, like, then she had, like what she's keeping. I'm trying to, like, you know, get things in order. She would always keep me in chaos. And she had, like, plastic bags just stored in her closet, and then she had, like, just like pillow fluff, just like the stuffing from pillows. I'm like, what is going on? And she wouldn't accept anything. And so this is part of our, like, metaphysical world, because this is just part of our metaphysical world. There's other dimensional transformations that we're living in a, you know, petri of a synthesized being. This is strange. I'm telling you, this is strange. So people should recognize that this is strangeness. That goes on, and let's see how far that goes. I'm gonna take it out later, but I think everyone should be able to conclude that what we have going on here is not normal. This is all kinds of nodding, and I have a lot more experience that I can go. I have like probably almost 1,000 videos now that I haven't uploaded, all with like stories. I'm trying, because it's a pretty complicated subject matter, and the point being that everybody dismisses it entirely, going, "There's nothing but solve." I figured it out. You haven't. There's nothing but solve. You haven't figured it out yet. Oh my gosh! And it's like, this is the same as the elite club pressing everybody down, and I think people should. This is spreading an awareness of like the fundamentals of, and with I think a little bit more dynamics. We have a little bit more expressed here. I just realized that people are so quick to be like, "You're a stupid nobody with nothing. Get out of here." Okay, I think this is pretty substantial. This is like, that could be the most substantial find in a century, for real. It's like, you're crazy. This is probably what they found in the tombs, and that's why they're hiding it, because they've been taken over by the world vampire. And that's my point. Last night, how many spirits were coming out. I saw that the town was desolate, but the spirits of corruption were not. They were kind of coming out of the woodwork. And I got on film, there's like 2 shambling guys, and they were kind of coming at me. And this reminded me, because there was a time I was in the spirit world for like 3 days after fasting for like a month. I was up for a month without sleep and without eating. And then I went to the spirit world for 3 days. And I forgot it, because so much had happened in that time period that like all these vampires came out, and in a day they were out, and they were like, "Wait till the night comes. Oh, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it." And then there was a bunch of different people who were just like all over the place that would tell me that, "Oh, you're gonna get it tonight. You're gonna get it tonight." And I didn't get it tonight. I got into a couple of encounters, but do you see like that a whole bunch of people all around town saying the same thing? You're gonna get it. And even just prior to last night, I've been running into a bunch of guys kind of in the daytime, kind of saying the same thing. They're getting all aggressive and be like, "Oh boy, you messing around? You messing around, huh? Aren't you?" And they're like, because it's really about exposure to the grander scheme of what's going on in this world. That they're in the portion that is on the, they want to enslave the people and have them just as food. I'm telling you, this is not a joke, and I'm going to upload this because I think this is, you got to realize that little critter was in here. There's really no way in and out. Look at this little metal wire too. He put that in there, and that root was even, I had a sensing, it was just going to come right to the heart of it, and it does. It comes right to here, and this is an entity that can kind of, these are conduit for it, and there's still more in there, and there was no really way in and out. There's no way, and there was a lot in my pulling this apart. There was a lot of like little flat pieces that were just like fitted in perfectly and flatly, and so this is like it is what it is. It's like memory retention, and yeah, that's what it is. And that's the things that were shambling at me. They were coming out like creepily walking, like they were like completely blitzed out on drugs. But the thing is, it reminded me of when I was in the spirit world. There was a lot of these creepers, and it was even like creepier than that. And the desolation in the city was complete. It was actually, I went from like 3 miles, seeing like 2 people. And that was completely weird. And I knew like one of the guys, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, what? Where's everybody? And this is like 7 a.m. on a Sunday. I'm like, don't think it should be this. I'm going miles down, like nobody. It's just completely, where's everybody? It was creepy, and there was a lot of other creepy things. But amongst that was the creepers that were creeping around. And they were completely like the undead, shambling zombies, and also that the houses that were lit up at night, there was so few of them, but they all just had like this just like white light without regular like ornaments, and it was just like the lights that were on was just like this cold light. I'm like, everybody's got the same like cold light, nobody's got any like regular warm light, and where's everybody? And the shadow creeps that were moving in the windows. I'm like, something's wrong with this picture. And at that point I wasn't filming anything, but I had been actually collecting some things, and there was always such technical difficulties with that, and it was like always also like a lot of, but anyway, this is a point in our data structure, and this is to me very tangible evidence that we live with the data structure manipulators, and this little entity is very much a real thing. It was like a little possum that was sitting right here, and a lot of intrinsically odd things about it. In my perspective, like, it looks so pristine and clean and fresh. Like, I don't know. Like, he's so vibrantly young, had a little pink little nose and a fleshy, hue. So I don't know. That's quite a big mess of stuff, and I'm gonna upload that. So how are these knots being tied and pulled through, and pulled through and pulled through and pulled through and pulled through. This was a little fairy home for maybe my spirit of my departed mother. It could be something like that. I don't know.